Last Monday, I told you that 55% of Americans say their finances are getting worse and that the bond market wasn't letting last year's Fed cuts reach your mortgage or car loan. Since then, 3 new government reports landed, and one says the inflation problem is basically over. Core inflation, that's prices with food and energy stripped out, came in at 2.5%. The Fed aims for 2 on a gauge that usually runs a little lower, so we're close. So why doesn't your budget feel close? Because the damage isn't in that number. Today I'll show you which lines are doing it and what to do about each one depending on where you sit. And stick around to the end because I've got a question this week that's going to annoy at least half of you, and I want your honest answer. First, an honesty check on last week's video. I was using the New York Fed's household debt data from the first quarter. The very next day, they released the second quarter. Exactly the timing you love when you make weekly money videos. Household debt actually fell to $18.77 trillion. But here's the correction. The rate people fall behind on their cards didn't spike. 6.93% a year ago, 6.97 today. That's not a trend. That's a rounding error with good public relations. Cards anyway, because one line is genuinely deteriorating and nobody's covering it. Mortgages. Falling behind on a mortgage went from 1.29% to 1.52%, so card stress is stuck and housing stress is building. A grind, not a cliff, and grinds get beaten with systems, not panic. Now what landed this week? 1. Inflation. Headline 3.4% over 12 months. Core 2.5%. Genuinely good news. 2. Same report, different page, and this is where the pain lives. Energy up 14.7%. Gasoline up 24.6%. Airfares up 25.5%. So that trip to see family this fall has quietly become a financial decision rather than a formality. Gas is averaging $4.01 a gallon against $3.12 this week last year. Run that on your own life. 12,000 miles at 25 miles per gallon is $426 a year that used to be yours. About $35 a month leaking out a splash at a time. It never arrives as a bill, so you never fight it. Diesel is up $1.50, the freight cost buried inside every box of cereal you buy. 3. The jobs report. The economy lost 23,000 jobs in July, and the 2 prior months got revised down by 103,000. Unemployment held at 4.1%, but that's flattering the picture because labor force participation is down 0.7 of a point since January. When the pool shrinks with the jobs, the rate stays calm while the reality doesn't. And here's the one that hits your kitchen table. Wages grew 3.2%. Inflation was 3.4%. On average, the American paycheck went backwards, not by much, but backwards. 4. The Fed, and this one flipped hard. In late July, the Fed held rates at 3.5 to 3.75. 3 officials dissented, and not in the direction you were hoping. They wanted a hike. On July 31st, markets put the odds of a September hike at 2 out of 3. Then the weak jobs report hit, then Wednesday's inflation number hit, and those odds dropped by half. The Fed decides September 16th, and that number moves daily, which is exactly why you don't build a plan around it. Quick reminder before the fixes. That question is coming at the end, and I want your real answer, not the polite one. 3 forces sit underneath all of this. 1. The Strait of Hormuz is still choked off. Before the conflict, about 21.6 million barrels a day moved through it. Last quarter, 4.9 million. That's the biggest single reason. Gas costs what it costs. Bigger than the station, bigger than the brand. 2. Tariffs. The Yale Budget Lab puts the average statutory tariff rate at 11% and estimates the cost to the average household at $1,100 a year, more than double what the gas increase is costing you, and you'll never see it itemized, which is a fantastic feature if you happen to be the one collecting it. 3. Federal borrowing. The deficit hit $1.8 trillion in 10 months, and federal debt just crossed $39.9 trillion. That pushes long-term rates up, so even if the Fed doesn't hike, don't expect your mortgage rate to drop. And, one real bill with a date on it. Health insurance. The enhanced marketplace subsidies expired at the end of 2025. Premiums rose about 20% this year, and insurers want another 15% for 2027. Open enrollment starts November 1st. If you're on a marketplace plan, that's the biggest controllable increase headed your way, and you've got 11 weeks to prepare. So, put it together. Core inflation is nearly fixed, food is up 3%, shelter 3.2%, but energy is up almost 15%, health insurance up 20%, wages losing. This isn't a cut-everything economy. It's a three-line economy. Energy, healthcare, income. Go on a general austerity kick, no coffee, no streaming, no fun, and in 6 weeks, you'll be miserable and you'll have saved almost nothing because you attacked the lines that weren't the problem. Be surgical instead. If you're running thin, with every month a race, your enemy is the timing of your bills, not the size of them. Move your due dates. Every utility, every card, every loan shifted to just after your paycheck instead of just before. It's free, and honestly, it's one of the highest return phone calls you can make. Then attack the gas line, because that's where inflation is reaching you. Combine trips, check your tire pressure, use the fuel rewards program where you already shop, then build a $100 buffer before anything else. Not 1,000, 100. Enough to absorb an overdraft fee or two, the trapdoor that turns one tight month into a bad quarter. If you're middle income, with margin thinner than it was 2 years ago, you're getting quietly squeezed because nothing is technically broken. Do a fuel audit. Pull 3 months of statements, add up gas alone, and compare it to the same months last year. That gap is your personal energy inflation. And if your raise came in under 3.5%, you went backwards this year, so stop treating the raise as your only lever. Go look at the benefits you already pay for, and don't use health savings account matching, flexible spending dollars that expire at year-end, tuition reimbursement. That's money already on the table. And if you're carrying a card balance, know what a balance transfer actually costs first. Most charge a 3 to 5% fee and require good credit, and a declined application dings your score. If you're higher income with real savings, your risk isn't the grocery bill, it's complacency. Short-term treasuries pay around 4.2%, which beats an emergency fund sitting in checking, earning nothing out of inertia. And separate price from volume in your spending, same trips costing more, is inflation. More trips is a choice, which is fine as long as you call it what it is instead of blaming the Strait of Hormuz. All right. The question, and I want the honest answer, not the polite one. The government says inflation is 3.4%. Do you believe that number reflects your life? Option 1, yes, that's about right for my budget. Option 2, no, my real rate is way higher. Option 3, depends entirely on how much I drive. Drop your number in the comments, 1, 2, or 3, and one line about why. I read everyone, and I build the next video off them. Here's where we land. Inflation is genuinely cooling, household debt ticked down, and the odds of a September hike dropped by half. And you're still tight because energy is up 15%, health insurance is up 20%, with more coming, tariffs run $1,100 a year, and your raise didn't keep up. 4 problems, not 100. Go fix those. Subscribe, because I do this every Monday, straight into the Fed's September 16th decision. Security equals a better life. See you next Monday.